Hello everyone! Today we are going to answer a question that no one but me has asked, which is, can I knit using paper knitting needles? So I'm going to make a set of paper knitting needles today. I've got the paper. I've got how I'm going to do it too. So my game plan for the moment is I've got myself a really thin knitting needle where the stopper can come off, and I'm going to roll the paper around this long thing. I'm going to tape it up, and then I'm going to use origami paper to make a quick little model that I can use as a stopper. And then we're going to see if the thing that I knit, like using regular yarn, breaks the needles, or if the needles can actually withstand the weight of the knitting. So in order to do this properly, I'm going to have to change the camera angle a little bit, because this is not something that I can do up in the air like I do with most of the knitting projects. I'll have to do this on the table. But yeah, that's what we're doing today. All right, camera angle is changed. So I don't even know how many inches this piece of paper is. I know it's smaller than typical amount, but thankfully I got a ruler right here. So it's about 6 inches to 9.5. This was a piece of paper from my what's it called? My notebook 9th grade freshman English. I have no idea why I still have it, but I do. All right, let's get this super tight here. I don't want to glue or have this needle inside it permanently. I want the paper to be able to stand by itself. Ooh. What a weird sound. But at least it's tight. I'm also going on a diagonal because that way I can get the longest needle possible and make sure it ends in a point. I'm also using an inside thing to get started so I can make sure the knitting needles are somewhat the same width. Because that's how knitting needle size is determined. It's by how the circumference of the knitting needle is. Although the sizing system is as generic as a set of shoes. I'm gonna try to pull this out. There you go. There you go. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing. I don't know, I got a piece of paper covering the screen so I don't look at the screen as opposed to the camera. Because I know what I'm like. I love the look of my own face. A lot of my conversations to myself are me talking to a mirror. There we go. I could use glue to hold this together, but I don't want to wait for the glue to dry. So I'm just going to use a nice piece of Scotch tape, which I thankfully have right here, because the Scotch tape lives on my desk. There you go. That's the first needle. First part of the needle. Hopefully I get the angle right, you know. I hope I get the angle right. It's time for the second piece. Oh good, I got that same sound as before. Hopefully this means this will match. I didn't have to think too hard about how I was going to do this, because when I was younger, I was a big fan of those American Girl books. And one of those generic books, not the historical books, but the one for the modern girl, which when I was buying them was late 90s, early 2000s. Ooh, I'm going to pull that out before I lose it completely. There we go. They had a project where you could make paper beads, where you cut the paper into like triangles and then you made beads from that and you covered them with Mod Podge. So that way they were shellacked. So that was like some information that was just stuck in my head for years. There you go. There's the second needle. Now, with a lot of these designs, like, I know perfectly well that I can knit without it like falling off the needle if I didn't make a stopper on it, but I want to make a stopper on it. I want it to look like a proper set of knitting needles. So I think for the easiest design to like get it on the needle is a cup. Fortunately, a cup's pretty easy to make. It'll fit on. Although how I'm going to attach it, it's not going to be considered pure origami, but I think we're okay with that here. It was already not pure origami when I used Scotch tape on the regular needles. I'm going to go with my design of the cup and not the other design because it's a little bit more symmetrical. There you go. Gonna make another one to match. Slide that in. And I think in order to attach the cups to the thing, I'm going to use that classic Scotch tape trick where you roll it so the adhesive's all on the outside. I think I'm going to wrap it around the hook that way, or the needle, it's not a hook. And then just slide it in and press down. Boom. There you go. Let's try that again. Probably a godsend for my parents when I was growing up is my dad was working for like an insurance company when computers were just starting to get like more accessible. And he came home with a bunch of printer paper. And it was like the really old printer paper had those like holes on the sides and you could rip it out. But I went through a lot of paper and Scotch tape. So I picked up a lot of tricks. There you have it. We have our knitting needles. And now we're back so you can see my lovely face. Did you miss me? Alright, so we have our knitting needles here. The edges are kind of blunt. But these actually feel like relatively secure. So, oh, is that a knot on the end there? That is a knot. Ooh, just gonna cut that off. There you go. We're gonna attempt to knit with the knitting needle, see how it goes. That should be 10. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, we'll just drop one stitch. It'll all be good. At my current job, I often have to count things, and I realize that I am in the habit of not counting the first thing that comes up, so there's usually one extra. Which is annoying when the whole part of the job is to, like, count how many objects actually belong. There you go. It's kind of weird knitting with, like, the tip being open. Because usually, like, knitting needles don't tend to be hollow. They tend to, yeah, you can see it's already, like, kind of bending. Yeah, they don't tend to be hollow. They tend to be, like, solid inside. So I don't usually have to worry about the tip bending. Wow, I wish there was a better term for that. It's not the word's fault. It's my dirty mind. Oh, it just bent on me. It just bent on me. I mean, this part down here feels a lot more secure than this part right here, because since I did it on a diagonal, the paper is not even distributed. Like, it's not evenly distributed. There you go. That's the first row. We'll see. But it's only happening to the one side. It's happening to the side that I'm, like, forcing in. I swear, like, this innuendo stuff is not intentional. I'm so sorry. Oh, okay. That's not working quite. Well, there you go. I think maybe if I, like, if I, like, sealed up the gap and made it, like, less flimsy, it would work better. Force this in. There you go. Oh, just bent that knitting needle. All right. I mean, that's the second row. I think if I were to, like, trim it so it was like a quill nib, you know, and then I was to put tape around that might work better for the bending, because you can look at the needle right now and, like, the tip is bent, or it's, like, crumpled, and obviously if it's crumpled like that, it's not going to stick into the yarn as well. You want the tip to really be, like, strong. So I'm gonna snip. There you go. Now we're going to take the tape. Let's hope this, like, goes evenly around. Oh, that was terrible. I don't know why my mind was going, like, quack, quack, quack when I saw that. It's like, oh, because quills are often made of feathers, and I don't understand myself sometimes. If I understood myself, I'd have a much better control of how I'd interact with the world. Here we go. Not that I haven't tried. I've tried very, very hard. Alright, so let's try to get this somewhat even. Whether it's the same length or not, we don't know, but let's try to repeat whatever this performance was. Also, I've just been thinking about ducks in general lately. A couple years ago, to play a prank on my dad, I bought 100 ducks for $40, like plastic ducks, not real ducks, and I just kept hiding them everywhere for him to find. And then Mom said no more ducks, and then my cousin came over, and it was very hard to entertain her. So I gave her the bag of ducks and said, like, here, hide one in every spot you can think of in the living room. And we did have to tell her not to put it on top of the lamp so the ducks wouldn't burn down. Or the house wouldn't burn down. But overall, she was so successful in hiding the ducks that it's probably like 4 years later now or something like that. Mom found another duck 2 weeks ago, years after the fact. And she's like, no, not another damn duck. They're, like, at first it was just the one. It was like, oh, okay. And then there were two. The duck from 2 weeks ago was duck number 6. They no longer fit on the little bench we are having them sit down in the living room. Alright, so the tips seem to be working better now, but now I'm kind of like still grasping them, and the needles are still kind of bending. Like, I feel like if they were all like the thickness of down here, it would all be good. But that's not where most of the work is happening. Although, strangely enough, like, the bends don't seem to be staying. Or I'll get a better sense when I get the yarn off of this needle, because this needle's the one that's doing most of the bending. And of course the yarn's catching on the tape, but I knew that when I was going in. Maybe if I did shellac it with the glue, it would be better, but I didn't have the patience for that tonight. I'm saving my patience for work tomorrow. Okay, let's see here. Yeah, I mean, I know I was like bending it, but yeah, it's mostly happening like by where the tape is. You can kind of see like the bend like right there. But the rest of the needle is actually holding up much better than I was expecting, and my knitting didn't turn out half bad either. So now I have another set of knitting needles, which I absolutely did not need, but hey, it was fun to make. And that was today's entertainment. Have a good night. Quack.